Nobody tells you the first time money actually changed how you felt, really felt, in your chest, was probably not when you got a raise. It was the first time you checked your bank account and nothing bad happened. No overdraft. No, your payment was declined. No mental math before you ordered food. Just nothing. And somehow, nothing felt like everything. That moment is the entire point of this video. Because we've been lied to about what money actually does to your happiness. And the lie is costing people years of their life chasing the wrong thing entirely. Here's what I'm going to show you. The specific psychological threshold where money stops making you miserable and starts making you free. And why almost nobody talks about what happens in between. Stick around, because the number is not what you think it is. Money can't buy happiness. That line has survived for generations because it's just true enough to be dangerous. And the people who repeat it loudest tend to have enough money that they've already solved the problems money actually solves. Let me show you what I mean. Princeton ran a study in 2010. Kahneman and Deaton found that emotional well-being plateaued around $75,000 in household income. That result got picked up by every magazine, every podcast, every person who wanted to feel okay about not having more. After $75,000, they said, "You're done. More money won't move the needle." Here's what they left out. In 2021, Matthew Killingsworth at the University of Pennsylvania ran a separate study. 33,000 working adults. Real-time happiness tracking through a phone app. Not surveys, not recollections, but actual moment-to-moment data. His finding: happiness kept rising with income well past $75,000. No plateau in sight. But that's not even the part that matters most. What both studies point to, and almost nobody focused on, is that money operates on two completely different mechanisms depending on where you are financially. Below a certain threshold, it removes suffering. Above that threshold, it starts creating freedom. And those are not the same experience. They don't feel the same. They don't produce the same outcomes. And you cannot skip the first layer to get to the second one. In 2013, Sendhil Mullainathan and Elder Shafir published research in the journal Science that should have changed every financial conversation we have, and mostly didn't. They tested the same people's cognitive performance at 2 points: right before payday, when money was tight, and right after, when it wasn't. Same people, same tests. Only variable was financial pressure. The cognitive gap between financially stressed and financially okay measured the equivalent of losing 13 IQ points. Or 1 full night of sleep, every single day. Now, think about what you're trying to do inside that deficit. You're trying to make good decisions about your career, your health, your kids, your relationship. You're trying to be patient when you're exhausted. You're trying to save money and think long-term when your brain is completely consumed by a short-term problem that won't leave you alone. This is why just budget better is one of the most tone-deaf pieces of advice in personal finance. You're telling someone to execute a complex discipline-dependent strategy on a brain that's operating with a significant cognitive handicap, caused by the exact problem you're telling them to solve. It's not a character failure. It's bandwidth. Financial stress is one of the heaviest consumers of mental bandwidth that exists. And here's the part nobody warns you about. You don't notice how much it's consuming until it stops. That's the moment I described at the beginning. When you check your account and nothing bad happens, that quiet isn't nothing. That's your brain getting 13 points back. This concept is the most important thing I'm going to say today. Write it down if you need to. There is a difference between removing pain and creating joy. And money, specifically in the early stages, is almost entirely in the business of removing pain. Your anxiety floor is the lowest level of financial stress you're carrying at any given moment. It's not the big stuff, the massive debt, the job loss scare. It's the background noise. The $800 car repair bill sitting in the back of your head. The credit card balance you've stopped consciously noticing but never actually forgot about. The conversation about money that you and your partner keep starting and never finishing. When you're carrying all of that, your baseline isn't neutral. Your baseline is already in the red before the day even starts. And when something goes wrong, anything, you don't absorb it. You break. What building financial breathing room actually does is raise that floor. Not to euphoria. Not to some arrival point where everything feels amazing. Just up. Up to where a $1,200 emergency is an annoying Tuesday, not a 5-alarm crisis. Up to where you can sleep on a Sunday night without running numbers. Up to where you stop making decisions from desperation. Because desperation stops being your default setting. Relief is not joy. But chronic relief, permanent, reliable, built-in relief, changes who you are. It changes how you show up for your kids. It changes how you perform at work. It changes what you're willing to risk. It changes your physical health. Chronic financial stress is directly connected to elevated cortisol levels, sleep disruption, and compromised immune function. None of which appear in any net worth calculation, but all of which are quietly running in the background of every financially stressed life. Here's the trap most people walk into. They chase a salary number when they should be chasing an anxiety floor. Two people. Both earn $110,000 a year. Person A has $160,000 in consumer debt, a $900 car payment, no emergency fund, and a lifestyle that requires every single paycheck to function. Person B earns the same, has no consumer debt, drives a paid-off car, and has 4 months of expenses sitting in a high-yield savings account. Same income. Completely different psychological reality. Different cognitive function. Different relationships. Different career trajectories. Because one of them can afford to say no when an opportunity doesn't serve them, and one of them cannot. The income number was never the point. The distance between what comes in and what has to go out, that's the point. That gap is where financial peace lives, not in a higher salary, not in a better investment, in the gap. This is why the advice, earn more money, misses so badly for most people. More income funneled into the same pattern of obligations doesn't raise the anxiety floor. It raises the ceiling, and then the floor follows it right up. Lifestyle expands to meet income with almost mechanical consistency, unless you interrupt it deliberately. The real move is not to earn more and then figure out the rest. The real move is to build the gap first, and then protect it every time income increases. Think about your financial life in 3 layers, and be honest about which one you're actually on right now. Layer 1 is survival stability. This is where a $1,200 unexpected expense stops being catastrophic, where you have enough cushion that an emergency is an inconvenience rather than a spiral. Getting here alone produces a measurable shift in daily cognitive function. The research backs that up. Layer 2 is debt freedom. This is where the background noise starts going quiet. Every balance you carry has a psychological weight attached to it that you've probably underestimated. Clearing that weight, not partially, actually clearing it, changes your baseline in the ways that compound every single day afterward. Layer 3 is optionality. This is where money stops removing problems and starts creating freedom. The ability to change careers without financial terror. The ability to take care of someone you love without doing math first. The ability to say no, and have that mean something. None of this requires being wealthy. All of it requires being intentional before the next raise disappears into a wider lifestyle. I want to know where you actually are right now, not where you're aiming, where you are today. Drop it in the comments, layer 1, layer 2, or layer 3. That's it. I read every comment, and your answer tells me exactly what to build next for this channel. If what we covered today hit differently than the usual personal finance content, subscribe. That's the only way YouTube actually puts the next video in front of you. No spam, no upsell, just the next one. And before you go, The video I put out before this one answers a question that connects directly to everything we just talked about. Why your first $20,000 saved rewires how your brain processes risk. Not your first million, not your first $100,000, specifically $20,000. And the psychology behind it is genuinely surprising. It's right there. Go watch it next.